The tools we're going to use are quite simply Stanley knife, bit of plastic, glue, a tool to press the carpet in. You need something that's sharp, got a little edge to it, but not going to cut the carpet. This is something we've had made up, but to be honest, we're also going to use a decent pair of scissors. Scissors are way better for cutting the carpet than a Stanley knife in most cases. This is the finish we're going to try and achieve. So I'm not sure if you can see it there with the light. I mean, when it's flat on the bench here, you're not really seeing the definition, but if I hold it up to the light, you can probably see the definition. We've got quite a powerful LED light above the workbench. But these are simply strips of 4mm ply that we've cut and glued to the surface of our ply panel. Ply panel we're going to start with is one that we've prepared, simply just stuck on with glue, and our carpet has been cut sort of oversized, but we'll always mark an arrow on a carpet to give us the same edge, so that arrow always delineates sort of with this carpet. If you put one panel upside down to the next panel, rotate the carpet through 180 degrees or even 90 degrees, it will look like a different shade of carpet. So it's important, if you want to achieve a professional finish, to basically make sure that all of your carpet is on the walls and on the panels in the same direction. So as you cut it, if you're taking it off the roll to do the van, it's quite easy to work out which side is up. Once you've got it all cut into smaller parts like this, it would be quite easy to get that upside down, and then we put it with the nap going the wrong way. So my arrow, I know, is up, so my arrow will end up at that way on this panel. So first thing we're going to do is get glue on these strips. It's really important with the glue on the strips to actually get it into this gap. To get that definition on the carpet, it's vital that the glue goes smoothly, not in big clumps, and don't let it pool, because if this glue is put on too thickly, it just won't dry and it'll form a bubble and it'll still be wet underneath. So we've got to let it dry between coats. But we're going to get a little coat in that side, flip it around, do the same on the other side, cover the whole panel, and then do another little light coat over both corners, just to make sure that we've got it in there. So I'm just angling that in at 45 degrees so that I've got some inside. I'm going to flip it round, do exactly the same on the other side. Now I'm going to cover the whole panel. And just give it a couple of minutes just to tack off, and then we're going to just give it another little light coat in there. It's quite cold today. If I'm honest with you, it's verging at the point where you might need to get a hairdryer on this just to get some warmth into it, to get it to tack off a bit quicker. But now we're just going to get the carpet covered. My stripes are approximately here, so I'm going to make sure that there's a little bit more glue there and it's deep into the pile. With the carpet glue, like, basically if you just soak it, it doesn't do it any good, and it'll take ages to dry and it'll soak through. On the other hand, if you just do a light sort of spider webby coat on the surface, that's not good enough either. I mean, it'll stick, but you won't get the definition. So what we're going to do is just keep it about 4 or 5 inches away, and I'm going to overlap each pass with the gun and just get that glue right into the pile. without soaking it. The vital thing when you're covering shapes, whether it be the wheel arch or into any window reveals or a speaker ring or a sub enclosure, the vital thing that we've learned over the years is that if you just put the carpet on and just stretch the death out of it, it will stretch. It's four-way stretch, but it goes very thin when you stretch it. The glue starts coming off the back, and yes, you can stretch it into a wheel arch crease, or you could stretch it into there, and it'll look okay. Probably most people will be very happy with the results. A couple of months later, bit of heat, bit of humidity, the glue starts releasing, the carpet starts contracting where you've stretched it. The fibres start to pull back, and it will release itself from some of those areas. So what we found the best technique for anything is to stop the carpet that you've glued sticking to something where it's going to stretch. So if it's going to stretch over something, what we try and do is keep it off that part whilst we're trying to glue the crease. It's probably better if I explain it like this. To get the glue to stick, or get the carpet to stick right in this crease here, if I just push it over there, yes, I can get the tool and push the carpet in, but it won't be very defined. Because it'll stick to the top, stick to this side, and then the gap between, I will be taking that gap up with purely stretching the carpet. I hope that's a good way of explaining it. On something as small as this, or on a panel where we want real definition, then what I'm going to do is actually put a bit of plastic. It's reasonably thick plastic. If you use really thin plastic, it'll just stick itself to the glue and then peel off. I'm actually just going to put this over the top, right to the edge of this glued strip of wood, and what it's going to allow me to do is basically get the carpet stuck on here and stuck into the upright without it stretching at all. There'll be no stretch involved in this procedure, so that carpet will just naturally follow that 90 degree. So I'm just going to flip that onto there, roughly in position. Just give that a tap down so that it's stuck. Flip that over, and now I can pull that back. This whole section here that's on the flat section of panel can just be stuck down, but what I'm going to do is peel that back. See, it's not sticking to that at all. So I can peel that back, and now with this tool I can just work that into that edge without stretch. So you could use a spanner, you could use a sort of rounded kitchen knife or edge of a spoon. You're basically better off using something metal than plastic, because if you start rubbing this fast with a plastic sort of trim tool, which we do use, it can leave a carpet burn and it's difficult to get out, whereas the metal won't actually burn the carpet. Same as if you're doing grooves in the wheel arches, we always use a spanner or something. Well, we've had this made, but it's got a nice rounded edge, and that works quite well to get into wheel arches. Our friend who made it for us, handyman, decided it would be quite funny to call it the Arse Blaster 2000. But I'm going to peel this off and basically do exactly the same thing with this groove here. We want this carpet now wants to go across there into that groove without touching at the bottom, which would make it stretch into the groove. So we're just going to do the same thing with this straight edge. I'm literally going to leave it about 1 mil from the bottom, and just try and sort of work it around. So that's there, and then I'm just going to move that, flatten that across. Pull that out, stick it down on the top again, just to stop it sticking unnecessarily. And I'm just gonna pull this back and just keep it off there anyway, whilst grooving that in. And the last bit of the process is to just protect the back edge whilst we glue that, the same way that we did the groove. So I'm literally giving myself about 1 to 2 mil of glued wood showing that side of the return. So flatten that over the top, then come in the back edge. Got a crease there, so I'll just snatch that out. I'm really going to work that into that groove as hard as I can with that edge. Really press it in. So what you want to do is really just press all of those fibres into the glue so they don't start releasing. And if you were gluing something like Alcantara, then, you know, honestly, it's not going to release because there's a very flat surface. With carpet, there's fibres both sides. The fibres on the back edge are flattened, but they're still fibres, so you are relying on the way that they're sort of knitted together to hold this. So the more you can press through into that, into the glue, the better. Same with the surface. You know, if you just put it on, it can pull off. If you smooth it on afterwards, then the contact adhesive that you're using will work to best effect. I'm just gonna pull the plastic out, glue the last bit, making sure that we tease out any creases that might have occurred, and that is the base done. So hopefully you can see the definition there with the lines. Then we've just got to glue the black. Gluing the backside depends how fussy you want to be. You could just spray it by, you know, by eye, fold this around, cut some V's, leave it a bit shabby. If you're taking that much trouble on the front, I mean, we do this professionally, and someone might pull a panel off, and at a later stage we'd like it to look as neat on the back as it does on the front, but it's just the way we work. There's a couple of ways of getting a neat finish. You could use a bit of cardboard and just give yourself a little edge to spray to. To be honest, you want a panel like this, it's almost just as quick, just to give like a 10mm seam with a bit of masking tape. I'm not being particularly neat, I just don't want the glue to go everywhere. So I'm just going to spread that around there, feed it around that corner, up to that corner. Now I'm just going to spray the edge. Making sure that I get some glue on the very edge, because I want it to glue not only onto the back surface but actually, you know, on the part that I'm curving it around. Probably put a little bit more glue on here than I would on the surface, just because there's a very small gluing area, so generally give plywood 2 coats. Now, to get a neat finish, what we're going to do is basically roll this around the edge. We could quite happily allow ourselves about 12mm, and if you're good at cutting with by eye, then just cut around this edge and then wrap it around. Personally, on a panel like this, I prefer just to wrap it around, then use a Stanley knife to cut it back. So I'm just going to roughly sort of get rid of some of that excess carpet and then just start wrapping this around. On the sharp corners, what I like to do on the sharp corner is wrap that around, and then on the very corner do 2 pinches. So one just that side of the corner and then one that side of the corner. That gets rid of the excess but keeps it over the back of the panel, so you won't see it from the front. The rest of it, I'm just going to pull that around, wrap it over the corner and just get that bit stuck. I'm going to get to this corner, do the same thing. I'm just going to get rid of some of that excess, and I'm going to basically do 2 pinches, one that side, one that side. This radius here, we can get rid of it by just keep pulling in pinches, but the pinches will be probably more than 10mm inside of the edge. So this, I'm just going to wrap this over here, just maybe cut a few relief cuts in that just to help it stretch over. They're going to be outside my cutting line anyway. Again, this is a radius corner, so we'll get away with just sort of folding that around. And the same here, we're gonna, because we've got more of an overlap, it will develop into a crease, but we'll cut that off. Couple of pinches on this corner because it's a tight radius. Now the creases that we've developed, we're basically going to use the knife and or the scissors. We're going to use the scissors and just cut them off so they're flush. So a good pair of scissors does help. And now what we're going to do is just use the utility knife with a decent blade and just put that in. I'm using my finger as a guide, and I'm just going to sort of follow my glue line all the way around. Neat on the back, neat on the front. So there you have it. Quite neat on the back. We can twist our hidden fixings in, and then the front, nice and neat with some nice defined lines. It just spruces up an otherwise boring panel, and for a couple of hours extra work on a van, it gives you a nice finish, something a little bit different.